Hey rock fans! Today we're diving into the golden era of rock music, the 1970s. Get ready to rock and roll as we count down the top 5 rock bands that defined this iconic decade. First up, we're kicking it off with the mighty Led Zeppelin. Let me tell you, these guys were the undisputed gods of rock and roll. I mean, Robert Plant's voice, forget about it. It was like a force of nature, soaring high above Jimmy Page's blistering guitar riffs. And speaking of Jimmy Page, the dude was a riff machine. He could make a guitar sing, scream and wail like no other. And John Paul Jones on bass and John Bonham on drums. They were the rhythmic backbone of the band, holding everything together with a groove that was tighter than a drum skin. Led Zeppelin 4, man, that album was a game changer. Black Dog, Stairway to Heaven, rock and roll. It was a non-stop assault of pure rock and roll power. And don't even get me started on Kashmir. That song is an epic journey, a sonic tapestry that takes you on a wild ride. These guys weren't just musicians, they were pioneers. They took the blues, cranked it up to 11, and created something entirely new. They influenced generations of musicians, from hard rock heroes to heavy metal titans. They were the real deal, and their music still sends shivers down my spine. I remember the first time I heard Whole Lotta Love. I was just a kid, but I knew right then and there that I wanted to play music. That raw power, that untamed energy, it was infectious. Led Zeppelin wasn't just a band, it was a way of life. They lived and breathed rock and roll, and their music reflected that passion. They pushed the boundaries of what was possible, and they did it with an unmatched intensity. They were the kings of the 70s rock scene, and their legacy continues to inspire and amaze us today. They were the soundtrack to a generation, and their music will live on forever. So crank up your speakers, let your hair down, and experience the raw power of Led Zeppelin. You won't regret it. Next up, we're venturing into the psychedelic and experimental world of Pink Floyd. These guys weren't just a band, they were sonic architects, crafting these massive immersive soundscapes that transported you to another dimension. They were masters of atmosphere and emotion, using music to paint vivid pictures in your mind. Listening to Pink Floyd was like taking a trip without taking a trip, if you know what I mean. And their concerts, man, they were legendary. Lasers, lights, inflatables, they pulled out all the stops to create a truly unforgettable experience. They understood that a concert wasn't just about the music, it was about creating a complete sensory experience. And then there's the dark side of the moon. I mean, what more can be said about this album that hasn't already been said? It's a masterpiece of concept album, a timeless exploration of madness, time, and the human condition. From the iconic Prism cover to the final notes of Eclipse, the dark side of the moon is a journey that you can take over and over again, discovering something new each time. Pink Floyd weren't afraid to experiment, to push the boundaries of what was considered rock music. They incorporated elements of jazz, classical, and ambient music into their sound, creating something truly unique and unforgettable. They were the masters of the concept album, weaving together music, lyrics, and visuals into a cohesive whole. They understood the power of silence, of letting the music breathe and create space for reflection. Pink Floyd was more than just a band. They were a cultural phenomenon. Their music transcended generations, appealing to those who sought something more, something deeper from their musical experience. They were the pioneers of psychedelic rock, and their influence can still be felt today in everything from progressive rock to electronic music. They showed the world that rock and roll could be so much more than just 3 chords and the truth. So, dim the lights, put on your headphones, and let Pink Floyd take you on a journey to the dark side of the moon and back. Chapter 3. Paint It Black, the Rolling Stones' rebellious spirit. Now we're cranking up the heat with the bad boys of rock and roll, the one and only Rolling Stones. These guys were the epitome of rock and roll rebellion. They were raw, they were dangerous, and they didn't give a damn, and that's what made them so damn cool. Mick Jagger with his swagger and his moves. He was the ultimate frontman. He could strut and prance across that stage with an energy that was infectious. And Keith Richards? A human riff machine, man. He could churn out those bluesy licks like they were going out of style. From Brown Sugar to Angie, Gimme Shelter to Start Me Up, the Stones have a catalogue of hits that's deeper than a bottomless pit. They've been through it all, man. The ups, the downs, the drugs, the rock and roll. And they're still standing, still rocking harder than ever. They were the antithesis of the peace and love generation, embracing the darker side of rock and roll with a sneer and a middle finger to the establishment. Their music was raw, gritty, and unapologetically sexual, and it spoke to a generation that was ready to break free from the constraints of the status quo. The Rolling Stones were survivors. They weathered the storms of changing musical trends, personal demons, and societal shifts, emerging from the chaos stronger and more defiant than ever. Their longevity is a testament to their enduring appeal and their undeniable influence on rock and roll. Chapter 4. Bohemian Rhapsody, Queen's Theatrical Majesty. Hold on to your hats, folks, because things are about to get operatic. That's right, we're talking about the one and only Queen. These guys were more than just a band. They were a force of nature, a spectacle of sound and vision that blew minds and melted faces. Freddie Mercury, man, what a frontman. He was charismatic, flamboyant, and had a voice that could shake the heavens. He owned the stage like no other, commanding the audience's attention with every move, every note. And Brian May's guitar work? Forget about it. He was a virtuoso, shredding those solos with a ferocity and precision that was mind-blowing. And let's not forget about John Deacon on bass and Roger Taylor on drums, holding down the rhythm section with a thunderous groove. Queen were masters of blending genres, seamlessly weaving together rock and roll, opera, pop, and everything in between. They were theatrical, they were over the top, and they didn't care who knew it. They embraced the drama, the grandeur, and the sheer spectacle of it all. And Bohemian Rhapsody, man, that song is a masterpiece. It's 6 minutes of pure, unadulterated rock and roll opera. A testament to Queen's fearless creativity and their ability to push the boundaries of what was considered pop music. They were the ultimate showmen, transforming every concert into an unforgettable experience. Their music was a celebration of life, love, and the power of rock and roll. Chapter 5. Hotel California. The Eagles' soaring harmonies. Last but not least, we're cruising down the highway with the Eagles, the kings of California rock. These guys could write a hook that would get stuck in your head for days. Their harmonies, man, they were tighter than a pair of skinny jeans. Glenn Frey and Don Henley's voices blended together like they were meant to be, creating this rich, full sound that was both soothing and exhilarating. And their lyrics, man, they were pure poetry. They captured the spirit of the American West, the longing for freedom, the heartache of love and loss. They were storytellers, painting vivid pictures with their words and music. Hotel California, man, that album is a classic. It's a perfect blend of rock, country, and folk, with each song a mini masterpiece. From the soaring guitar solos of Life in the Fast Lane to the haunting beauty of Desperado, Hotel California is a timeless journey through the heart of American music. They were the soundtrack to a generation, capturing the dreams and disillusionment of the 1970s. Their music was a blend of rock and roll energy and country-tinged introspection, creating a sound that was both familiar and fresh. The Eagles were masters of crafting songs that resonated with a wide audience. Their lyrics were often relatable, exploring themes of love, loss, and the search for meaning in a rapidly changing world. Their music had a timeless quality, appealing to listeners across generations. Well, there you have it, folks, our top 5 rock bands of the 1970s. From the thundering riffs of Led Zeppelin to the soaring harmonies of the Eagles, these bands defined an era of rock and roll that continues to inspire and influence musicians today. These bands weren't just making music, they were making history. They were pushing boundaries, breaking rules, and creating a soundtrack for a generation that was hungry for something real, something raw, something that would shake them to their core. So crank up the volume, let your hair down, and relive the glory days of 1970s rock and roll. That's our list of the top rock bands of the 70s. Did we miss your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more rocking content.